We're down to one final regular season game on Schellenberger Field, and it's round 460 that connects a pair of familiar ODAC foes. Which squad will capture the driver's seat tonight for the final Campus Code Red event? The Roanoke Maroons take on the Lynchburg Hornets in a top 6 toss-up here in the conference standings, and it starts right now. Hi everybody, welcome to Lynchburg, Virginia, the University of Lynchburg, a site for so many fantastic athletic events throughout the year. It really comes down to this one here for this Lynchburg women's lacrosse team. They have one more on the road versus EMU, but the final 2 regular season games that will ultimately determine what that postseason picture looks like, and we are super excited to go and adventure into it. Kyle Haney will be joining us momentarily. Lynchburg baseball down on Fox Field is finishing up their action versus CNU. You know the climate of D3 sports, but we've got a very fun toss-up here between 2 teams that have seen each other very many times in the series history. This is the 29th edition, and it dates all the way back to 2003. Lynchburg currently in the biggest losing streak in series history. They've dropped 5 straight versus a Maroon squad that has found the NCAA tournament, and they have won in the NCAA tournament in the past few seasons. Erica Brown, in her 3rd season as the head coach at the helm for Roanoke, has really been impressive. And you understand, you see the record on your screen, 42-14. It is really a committee effort, and so many players have come back and been in an All-American standing for this Maroon squad. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the pregame stats as Lynchburg goes through their introductions. 2 very high offensive teams, and you look at the stats throughout the conference, you understand these 2 teams score at a high rate, and they also have the clear percentages to back it up. They are top 30 in the nation, or top 35 rather, in those categories in Division III. So we're going to expect a transition style of play today. We also know that this Lynchburg team has really been stout defensively. They want to do just about everything against a Roanoke team that is familiar with playing tough opponents. Roanoke is 9-5 this year, but they have faced a very heavy slate. They know what they can do. They're trying to come out of this one with a victory against many Hornets that might have their final game here on Schellenberger Field. Lynchburg would likely need some help to be able to host an ODAC quarterfinals game, as Randolph-Macon right now is a game ahead in the conference standings. Coach Mackenzie Rafferty in her 2nd season with Lynchburg, 21-12 so far, and you're starting to see some of the cards be revealed as we get closer to postseason play. Lots of reasons for optimism, and even talking about this game, yes, it's a Code Red affair. She said it brings its own energy. You don't have to manufacture it. The message at this point in the season is consistency. It's about trusting ourselves, trusting one another, and playing with pace. Lynchburg's going to try to stay true to their playing style today and spark an upset against the 3rd-ranked team in the ODAC, the Roanoke Maroons. We'll be right back on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
Welcome to the Campus Recreational Department at the University of Lynchburg. We believe in a student-centered approach to recreation, making sure that all students have fun and engaging activities that promotes wellness, personal growth, and community building.
Our team works to provide a variety of recreation opportunities for all our undergrad and graduate students.
Let's take a look at the different areas of Campus Rec.
Campus Recreation covers all outdoor recreation. Our team offers dozens of trips per semester, maintains recreation facilities on campus, and offers outdoor certificates and leadership training.
Intramurals is open to all students who wants to play on a team. We have men's, women's, and co-ed leagues for each sport we offer.
Those looking for next level competition can join club sports. These are student-led organizations with the support of Campus Recreation. You can join one of our established club sports, or you can start your own with our support.
Campus Recreation offers an excellent amount of opportunities to stay active, make new friends, and develop new skills. We hope to see you soon.
Welcome back in the Hill City. If you're just joining us, it's just about time for a Code Red affair between Roanoke and Lynchburg, two ODAC foes, as we go into our players to watch. For Lynchburg, look no further than Neely Morris, number 19 in white, has really started to produce, and she has produced the entire year. But when you look at consistency, she is hitting her stride at the perfect time. 11 straight games with a goal, 7 with a hat trick, and you're really understanding that, yes, she was an all-ODAC candidate last year, obviously, on that second team. She's looking to be there perennially, and she is going to try and help this team to an upset over this Roanoke team that has an All-American on their side, Grace Katuzis. You go back into the stats, and every single year she produces, but you also have to look at not just the goal tally, the assist as well, and the points column. She is starting to really spark some offense for the squad. 38 goals, 38 assists, and in her senior year, she wants to help this team back to the NCAA tournament. That really feels like this team has the firepower. The only team to defeat WNL in an ODAC championship since 2003. It was back in 09 that this Roanoke squad did it. What will we see here on Schellenberger today? We have seen Lynchburg really featured in some lopsided results at home this season. This might be one that inches a little bit closer. This is a Roanoke squad that I think you would expect to really come in and try to handle business early, understanding the stats, understanding there has been a big-time push for this Maroons offense. But which shade of red's going to be brighter tonight? We're going to find out as Lynchburg wins the opening draw and things are underway. Something Coach Rafferty talked about that last time out was that the draw obviously is something that's important, but it's really transition and the connectivity that's the biggest part of the game. And against Shenandoah, it was the midfield that needed to be a little bit better. We'll see what this squad can accomplish winning the draw, and interesting enough, if you look back at every result from this season, the draw has not lied. Every game that Lynchburg has won, they have also won the draw control. And conversely, every loss has been a disadvantage for the Hornets, as this time it gets a little scrap heading towards the goal. Opportunity for Roanoke to take it away and try to start their clearance. A Roanoke team with a lot of history in this lacrosse setting. Extends to the men's side as well. They're led by Kendall Todd in goal. Throughout the season, she has really been impressive. Somebody that you can obviously expect to make a big wrinkle in the picture, and you got to have a good goalie at this stage, knowing how many great offenses there are in the league. We'll see what this Roanoke offense has in store in their first possession. Great pass inside, not looking for the shot. They stay a little extra patient, and this time it pays off because the free position's on the way. Sun starting to set on the other side of the field behind the Westover dorms. Things a little bit bright with those black and maroon uniforms. We'll try to decipher as the first shot's underway. And Alexis Sin able to deny this time. Roanoke's second opportunity on the way. Alexis Sin had 14 denials last time out. 14 saves versus Shenandoah, ultimately kept this team in the game. We're going to see what they have in store. Maroons go over the top, drive and dish for the first goal of the game. And Roanoke, once again, really going to business early. We're going to get our man Kyle Haney in momentarily. We mentioned he was at baseball. He's coming right in. He still has the backpack on, and he's going to hop on the broadcast. Kyle, we got to almost set the story for you now.
Oh, I wish you would, and I could share some information about other events on campus, but had to get in on this Code Red fun.
That's
Can't
right.
miss a Code Red day here at Shelley.
I feel like you almost climbed a mountain to get here. Fox Field is a few strides away from Schellenberger.
A little bit of an elevation change in there. Not exactly climbing a mountain, but we had fun.
That's right. That's what the great broadcasters do. They adjust. So Lynchburg got the first draw control of the day, unsuccessful on the offensive side. Roanoke comes back and scores the first one. They're up 1-0 here in the opening minutes. You got to feel like a game like this is really going to be decided by the energy in the first quarter. We've seen some games throughout the year where Lynchburg has struggled right out of the gates, especially in that Shenandoah affair, giving up 5 goals.
Well, and I can give you some insight in there coming in late. I got to hear the Lynchburg defense communicating. You and I have talked about that communication. The great defenses really communicate at a high level. And looked like Roanoke must have done it there to deny the goal. Great setup, though, for Lynchburg.
We've said it so many games throughout the year. You don't see a lot of longer shots from this Lynchburg team, but you might see it a few more times today, understanding that Roanoke's defense is stout as the Hornets get it right back. Meredith Bornholt.
Yeah, way extended. Talk about an elite defender, an elite communicator. She was up, and Meredith Bornholt did get that first career goal. You could have argued maybe she should have carried that a little bit and taken a fire, but decides to let the offensive unit get set up. Let's see if Lynchburg can work it around the horn here and get something open against the Maroons.
We'll see how much time they utilize on the offensive side. They've had the majority of it here in the opening minutes, but Reagan Becker, the goal on the other end. So many heavy hitters for this Roanoke team, but they also have a great supporting cast, very similar in offensive numbers to Lynchburg. They have 3 players over 30 goals, 4 over 20 as Norco holds on.
A good move there by Norco. Kind of a retreat, but felt the defender coming. Hold on to the possession there.
Another opportunity this time. Hossauer just heckled. 2 Maroons going to work on the defensive side. Now maybe an opening. Hornets trying to split it. Steinau ready to go. Dodges outside.
Great speed there from Steinau to get downhill. And then some discretion. You know, didn't think she could get off a clean look, so decides to, again, just work it through the offense. That's some patience there from Lynchburg. And maybe some ball control in as well. You know, if you have a longer possession, that's less Roanoke handles the ball. So there could be some of that, too, with a free position coming up.
Golden opportunity. They pass outside. They'll try to work the offense again. Shot clock winding down. Hossauer runs into a brick wall. Flag is up, so another free position on the way. The sophomore out of Pinehurst, North Carolina, a chance to equalize in the early minutes. Really golden chance as she looks to go left, knocks it right in. The Hornets are on the board, and it is clinical stuff from the free position.
Yeah, you don't want to call anything a must-have, but in a game like this that you feel like it's going to be close, that's as close as to a must-have as you're going to get in quarter number 1. So great job there to finish it, equalize 1-1 ball game on Code Red night.
I love that you said that, too, because this is a game where it's going to feel like every single goal you got to come right back because you know Roanoke's a team that can make those runs. And for somebody like Hossauer, 20 goals in a freshman year, now at 26 in this campaign, it's really just a small piece of so many others that have stepped up big in the offense this year and made those jumps.
Absolutely, and Sydney Dumas, you know, kind of being the straw that stirs that drink because we know what attention she draws. She's got such gravity, so it does open things up for other goal scorers. And to your point, so many have stepped up this season and got it done.
Back to the circle we go. We'll see who wins it this time. Lynchburg's had some early success. Hornets will take it again as Dumas had it momentarily stripped away. I want to make a correction to a point earlier. Todd is not starting in goal for Roanoke today. It's Amber Stallings. Already allowed one and saved one. And we mentioned that Todd has taken the brunt of the work in the goalkeeping duties. But Stallings has started a few games this year. And today it'll be start number 3 of the season.
You can tell from the body language from both teams that they're really working hard out there. You see players when they get a chance to catch their breath, they do. Everybody seems gassed early. And again, still just the first quarter here.
Well, we've also mentioned how we've seen so many lopsided results on this field this year. As Dumas was ready to go off and running, referee intervenes. You know, Kyle, I think the big category that we see a jump in during these closer games is clear attempts, because so much of the game is spent running back and forth, whereas we've seen Lynchburg dominate the offense in recent times here in Shelley.
A fantastic point by you. They really have played that ball control in kind of a dominating style where the other team doesn't even get a chance to work on offense very often. We don't think that'll be the case here against Roanoke. But again, if you're Lynchburg, you'd like to stay true to that if you can. Hornets a very good 11-4 this season. Roanoke 9-5, but Roanoke is 6-1 in conference. Lynchburg 6-3. So this is a key game for a lot of reasons here as we get close to tournament time.
W&L a command on the conference right now, 9-0 as we anticipated, but there is a little bit of a toss-up for second. Shenandoah and Roanoke both knotted at 6-1. You want to be able to host another game during the ODAC tournament. That second spot would solidify it. Offense trying to get back to work, nothing doing except Neely Morris looks to go to Dumas. Few steps, Hornets ready to wind and fire again.
Lynchburg doing some good motion activity off the ball screening there. You saw Norco float through and try to open up a teammate.
One of the best in the conference in those isolation opportunities. Is going to take a stab at it. Dumas goes over the top. Top shelf material for 7. She gets it past Stallings for the second goal of the contest.
A fantastic goal right here. We know Sydney Dumas is so good in the free position. Starts out on the sprint, kind of has to veer to her right slightly, and then the goal over the goalie's stick, but under the bar. Perfect placement for Sydney Dumas, and a 2-1 Lynchburg lead.
Two-time second-team All-ODAC for Dumas, hit 100 career goals this season. She scored in every game last year and everyone but one this year except that opener versus CNU. The trend continues after that goal.
And that's one that we've talked about before on these broadcasts. I don't really count that against her because she didn't play that much in that game, went out pretty early with injuries. I don't know how you count streaks like that, but I don't count that one against her. I say she scored in every game, however many in a row, back to her freshman year. I think she had 2 that season where she didn't score her first year.
That's right. I mean, if there's ever a team that's going to stop you, you know, CNU's probably in the conversation, one of the best. But as we said, I mean, Dumas hasn't been stopped by many. As Roanoke tries to take over, we saw Lily Riley, the freshman, trying to create a little bit of transition for this Roanoke team, something that Coach Rafferty has preached for Lynchburg's side. They have an opening now. Starting to get into the golden hours as the sun goes down. We'll start to see those numbers a little bit better on the field. And Code Red as well, a lot of students on the other side.
Yeah, love the energy over there. I could feel that coming up. I think the fans haven't really had a chance to go bonkers yet, but Lynchburg keeps scoring and keeps the Maroons off the board. They'll really come alive here as the night goes on.
Maroons ready to wind and fire. They go outside. A lot of chances. The top of this offense, Zoe Blair and Grace Katuzis, the two mainstays. That's a nice looking shot. Wow, Katuzis shows us a little bit of what she can do. Goes into the arsenal and swipes it past Sin.
Yeah, bag work right there. That was a very nice goal and a very nice response, too. Roanoke had given up 2 straight, 2 unanswered. Well, now they do answer to tie the ball game up here. It just feels like this could go like this all night. It could be not much separation. Maybe whoever has the last shot ends up winning this thing.
You feel like with so many great offensive players here at the conference level that we're going to see some impressive goals. That one was from range. Katuzis is somebody who obviously, yes, does have the accolades. And you see it as a senior being a former All-American, but you know that there's a lot of trust. And after Roanoke lost 3 of their top goal scorers from last year, you know Katuzis is somebody at the top who's going to come back and bring familiarity, especially for other players like Zoe Blair, who's just a sophomore, but still the second highest scorer on the team.
Yeah, Katuzis, a senior from Marietta, Georgia, and Roanoke's one of those teams. I always notice this in different sports on the rosters. They got a nice mix of youth and veterans. Got a good senior crew that they can really rally behind and act as the leaders, and then they got a boatload of freshmen and sophomores that are really doing great things.
Brought in 14 freshmen for this season. That's always a great not even really a great spot for where they're at now, but you think about the vision for Erica Brown, her third season, starting to get those recruiting classes. This team is here to stay, and I think they definitely want to challenge W&L at the top, something they've been trying to do for a while. As Chastity corner. Stark defense, and the Hornets start the run the other way.
Yeah, that's one-on-one, putting the clamps on her, and Roanoke ran in isolation. They liked that matchup. Corner made them pay right there with just some fantastic defense, and then Bornholt coming in to swoop up the ground ball. Good stand right there for Lynchburg. Let's see if they can use that as momentum.
Hornets will have to hustle a few more plays throughout this game. You know their offense can score, but Roanoke says the exact same thing. The two top teams on the offensive side in the conference. Last year's Code Red affair was another climactic one, 14-13 win versus Randolph-Macon for this Hornets team. They eventually lost to them in the ODAC quarterfinal, but the energy on this field was so fantastic. You could tell that they want something special to happen in the ODAC tournament. A win would be obviously a big spot for optimism, knowing that, okay, yes, you got there last year with Coach Rafferty in her first season, chance to go even further.
Yeah, just building, taking more steps. Yeah, you want to take a big leap. Sometimes you just got to go step by step. And how about stepping through Sydney Dumas? Bang, I think she went high to low that time to convert it. Lynchburg leads again.
Marching right in, and something we've talked about this year for Sydney Dumas. There have been certain games where you see the other attackers, you're thinking, wow, you know, where has Sydney been? She'll get her goals, but it's not always as evident. The big games and big moments, she's ready.
Totally agree. It's just so much fun to watch her play. And she is such a talent that again, her gravity, the other team has to know where she is. She has to be in your scouting report if you're doing your due diligence, which is a fun phrase and hard to say sometimes. But Dumas, she is that player. She is that spotlight kind of player. And as you said, when the spotlight's shining the brightest, that's when she tends to deliver the most.
Feels really easy when she has the ball in her stick. It just has really been seamless offense. Back to the circle we go. Draw controls, definitely a stat to keep our eye on. And Lynchburg has really started to pile them up.
That's such an interesting thing about the nature of our game. The other team doesn't automatically get the ball after you score. So you can go on these long runs with the draw control. Same thing with the face-off in the men's game. And so unique. It's such a big part of our game. That's why you got to work on it and really stress that as a coach.
I can't remember if you were here or not, Kyle, when we made the point earlier, but every single game this year, whether it's a win or a loss, has been synonymous with the draw control. So Lynchburg in every win has won in that category. They'll have to be big again today, and you're starting to see possession has started to really rile up, but the Hornets this time lose possession. Sydney Harrison, midfielder from up in Massachusetts, able to gather and jumpstart this offense on the other end.
Yeah, took away the overpass there. Sydney Dumas got walled off. Good initial defense by Roanoke. And then when Lynchburg was going through the progression there looking for another option, the pass just wasn't clean. So that's what the Maroons will have to do. Stop Dumas first and then go from there. Keep defending.
Coach Rafferty was really pleased for this Lynchburg defense in the last time out, because though they did give up those 15 goals versus Shenandoah, the one-on-ones were very stellar and even caused a few shot clock violations.
Yeah, Lynchburg defense playing with a little physicality today too. You see that?
Feels like it's starting to rile up as conference play is materialized. You know, a lot of these games are won by physicality and those hustle stats. Think about the ground balls. Roanoke still searching, and I mean, Kyle, you see the options. They have been so patient on both sides.
Yeah, Maroons tried a little pick and roll game there. Lynchburg was ready for that. I think Lynchburg defensively, they are really buttoned up in this one. They seem like they've got a good scheme going here to slow the Maroons down. Never going to completely stop them, obviously, but slow them down.
Shot across and in. Oh, wow. Another one that is a little bit of acrobatics. Maddie McDonald, the former ODAC Rookie of the Year, delivers.
Yeah, really good goal there. moving away from the goal and then firing across the body. Still managed to get some great velocity on this shot, and the location was obviously pinpoint as well. Tied again, put that on repeat. I think you and I are going to be saying that a lot today.
I think if you're a Lynchburg fan, you kind of like that because you understand, okay, if we have a chance to win this game in the fourth quarter, you know, we're definitely going to go out and try to take it, understanding that if the draw is going your way right now, and it might be a little bit easier, but it'll be Neely Morris heading back again. Somebody who was just shy of 50 draws coming into this contest, leads the team with 48. That'll go up.
Yeah, such a weapon out there with her speed, her stick skills, and she's a taller player as well, so you can get to a few more of those ground balls as they're bouncing around free there, the little pinball kind of plays.
The goal scoring for Morris has really accelerated this season.
And Norco's been around the ball a lot today, too. Good job to take that one out of the fire.
I mean, that's impressive, too, because for a second it was anybody's ball. And to not only collect, but get out of trouble. It sets up Lynchburg's offense. And once again, you know, the more patient that they stay, you got to feel like with some of these cutters, they're going to get an open look. It's just a question of can you capitalize?
Yeah, it'll be great to see, or fun to see maybe, how Lynchburg does proceed offensively. Do they continue to use the patience? And like you said, work the cutters. And then sometimes I think you're going to have to mix in Sydney Dumas on some isolation stuff. Got to let her do her thing as well.
Another strong defensive play. Dumas won't get an opportunity this time. Back to Stallings. She advances it forward. Roanoke's clearances have been very smooth so far.
Yeah, I agree. You can tell they've done some work in that area. Defensively, they get it and they're ready to go. Don't really like to shoot much in transition, but they certainly do not wait around on that clearance. They're off to the races pretty quick.
What do the Maroons have in store now? 3 for 4 in that clears category. We mentioned both of these teams in the top 35 of the nation. So you got to expect when they go out, they love to play at that pace. Maroons still searching, and free position will be on the way. Player down on the turf.
And if you're going to play physical defense, I think if you're Coach Rafferty, you got to accept a few of those. It will be a yellow card situation, so I don't know how many of those you want to accept, but I think, you know, if your idea is let's play rough and tumble, let's make life hard for the other team, then you got to be okay when sometimes you go just a little bit over the limit. So, woman up opportunity for Roanoke and a free position.
That sends Corner to the box. One of the more physical players on this team. Opponents 56% on the free position this year compared to Lynchburg's 45. That is a stark difference.
Yeah, that's an area where the Hornets would like to improve, and that'll come too as they continue to get better and better.
Ready to lace and fire. Sen gets a stick on it momentarily, but it files through. Maroons on the board again. Zoe Blair, one of the sophomores that has had a fantastic start to this season. 35 goals and 16 assists. She's the younger sister of assistant coach Lily Blair, who's a former All-American for this team, now on the coaching staff. And, I mean, it's pretty impressive. We have one of those connections on Lynchburg's team when you look at sister duos from the past.
Exactly right, with the Dumas sisters, and beyond that as well, Zoe Blair, hometown Salem, Virginia. That's an interesting one that fools some people. Roanoke College is actually in Salem. It's in the city limits of Salem, even though it's Roanoke College. That one throws some people off a little bit, but it's not completely unheard of, obviously, for things to be like that. Sometimes like your country club, the Los Angeles Country Club's actually, you know, in Pasadena or something like that.
That's right. Different city limits.
Yeah. But, hey, Roanoke's up again by 1. Let's see if they can get some traction or if Lynchburg bounces back.
We said Blair. It looks like McDonald was credited for the goal on the stat sheet. We'll see what that one goes down as we mentioned, the sun on the far side. Posing a little bit of problems.
Yeah, not to use it as a crutch, but it does
That's
make
right.
life tough on the broadcasters, and you can see it on your screen with the long shadows. I think based on where it's setting now, it doesn't bother the players much. Sometimes early in the year, it gets in the goalie's eyes on that side that Lynchburg is scoring on right now. But right now, the sun more on the side of the field than rather right behind one of the goals.
You got to think, too, everybody's a little bit lower, so even the students on the track starts to get a little chilly as Dumas is on fire. 3 to get this one started on the hat rack already here in the first quarter. 5 shots for Lynchburg, 4 goals. They are performing at a high rate, and it's right back to knot it up at 4-4.
I think if you're a defense, you have to make her pass first, and when you don't do that, she's going to take advantage. Now, Roanoke turned Lynchburg over a few times, a couple loose passes from Dumas, but when she can take it to the doorstep, when she can get penetration, she's as good as you will see at this level.
That was filthy stuff to get in the zone and fire away. 11 total shots, 8 total goals. A lot of offense, and the percentages don't lie. We'll confirm one final time. Was Zoe Blair who gets the goal last time out, and we just didn't have our stat sheet loading. We'll go ahead and tell you it was Zoe Blair on the free position, Maddie McDonald the previous goal for Roanoke, and Sydney Dumas. You don't got to look at your stat sheet for that. She has been all around the field making contributions. And the Hornets have the ball again. A chance now to not only use this clock a little bit more, but you see the first quarter with 70 seconds. The question is, do they wind the shot clock down?
Yeah, and when does another goal scorer materialize, or do you keep going to Dumas? Do you feed the hot hand? Again, we know how dangerous she is. She's got to get her touches. She's got to get her shots. So far, so good in that department.
The one-on-one certainly matter, and you got to see the defensive communication that goes down. You know, several Maroons are going to have that task. But even when it's predictable, if you try to get it to Dumas, you know there are a lot of other attackers on the squad that can make a difference. As Hassauer, still searching, goes over to Dumas. She's trying to get right back to where she left off. Pass over the top. Reagan Bradley, somebody we haven't mentioned yet. Ready to fake, goes back to Dumas. There's another in the cards. Oh, wow. Rifling and stifling in the first quarter.
The way she curls here to come open, then catches a pass that is slightly off target. Fantastic body control, hand-eye coordination. You can tell she's working hard there, hands on hips, and then, yeah, the rifle to get it home. This was a fantastic play by Sydney Dumas.
High scoring first quarter. You might need some new nets. And Sydney Dumas doing everything for the Hornets. I mean, Kyle, even if you haven't watched a lacrosse game before, you go out and watch Sydney and the way that she gets the ball. As you said, even the readjustment and the steps that she takes, it is all connected and it all looks so picture perfect when it's done.
That was so good. So good. Keep striking if you're Lynchburg. Probably not going to have another chance here before the quarter ends, but you never know. You win this draw control. I think you try to score if you're Lynchburg. They did not. See if the Maroons going to crank one here at the buzzer or just content to go to period 2.
2 ticks to go. We'll see if they elect to shoot, and that is where the page stops for now. But wow, Lynchburg, an offensive display to get things started. They're up by 1 against one of the powerhouses in the ODAC. Roanoke tries to right the ship on the second quarter. Lynchburg trying to feed the hot hand. We'll be right back.
Want to have some outdoor adventures while getting a degree at the same time? At the University of Lynchburg, we have an on-campus zip line and ropes course. Plus, we offer adventure trips that cost less than a cup of coffee. And did I mention our beautiful scenery? We're a university for students looking for something more than just books. Welcome to your new adventure experience.
I wanted to be a physical therapist probably starting about halfway through college. I love the concept that exercise is medicine. You know, we're starting to discover that exercise really can remedy many of the things that we thought that only surgery or only drugs could remedy in the past. When the student comes here, it's because we believe in them, it's because we want them here, it's because we believe they'll be successful. The faculty here are devoted to their development, not only academically but also professionally. We're not so inundated with things that we don't have time to make students one of our highest priorities. we have your back. We're gonna help you through that. If you're willing to work, then we're willing to put the work into it and effort to help you succeed.
Second quarter action here on Schellenberger Field. Evan Gates and Kyle Haney hanging out with you on a fantastic Wednesday evening. It's the final Code Red affair here at the University of Lynchburg this season. And Kyle, I mean, if you're ever going to put one on the schedule, I think the Wednesday nights are almost preferred placement because, you know, while a lot of people think, oh, Saturday, you know, that's the day where everybody's going to want to go out. Wednesday, you got all the students here. You can't go home, you know, for the weekend. Now, granted, classes were out today for the Student Scholar Showcase, but I think so far the only scholar we've seen on the field is Sydney Dumas.
So good for Sydney Dumas today. And yeah, it's a big week. We've got our 2025 Give Day tomorrow. That's Give to the Hive in 25. We'll touch on that again at halftime. You like that?
I did.
You got me on the marketing department this year. No, that's because I flunked out of all the other departments. Definitely the math department. But, yeah, it's a 5-4 Lynchburg lead after one. I think all systems go for Lynchburg. Defensively, obviously they've allowed 4, but I think Lynchburg's defense has been solid. Let's not forget about Roanoke. They've done some great things. Their transition game, their clear game is really good. I wonder if we'll see them try to score in transition rather than set up the offense sometimes. That'll be situational. And I think, as we've both pointed out, and I'm sure we'll say again, this draw control is going to continue to be a focal point for both teams.
Well, that's a great point. We don't have that stat in front of us. Everything else is on the stat sheet except the draw controls until the game is over. But Lynchburg has had a heavy portion of those so far, and it just, you know, from what just meets the eye, you've seen the Hornets really be scrappy and really hustle. Now, it's going to be a question of when Roanoke gets that momentum, as they have a chance to do so now, you know, do the Hornets stand firm defensively and understand, okay, even if we're not getting a few draws here and there, we can still stay in this game and still stay in the lead.
A fantastic point by you. I think both teams are really running well. I think fitness is not in question at this point of the year. Both these teams really move well. They share the ball, but then they, again, also know when to go to the playmakers when that's the play that's necessary.
Definitely a lot to be decided, but Grease to Kutuzis, somebody who has gotten on the score sheet already. Pass inside, and another chance for a free position opportunity. Maroons can equalize here in the opening seconds of the second quarter. It's going to be Blair right down Main Street trying to notch it past Alexis Sen, somebody who had 14 saves last time out. Blair ready to go, goes downstairs and in.
Good finish there from Blair. You like to watch her work. She got a little wiggle in that right leg as she gets ready to mash down on the accelerator there. That ties the game. And we got to keep an eye on those free position opportunities as well for both teams because, again, in a physical brand of field hockey like this, you know you're going to have a few more of those as our night goes on.
Well, you felt like, you know, that bottom angle is so accessible, but it's so difficult to get to. And for some of these scores, they make it look easy. Blair has her second of the day. This is a squad for Coach Brown that is really starting to show that they can compete as well. A lot of players lost from last season, but the first two for Coach Brown. She went 16-4 and 17-5, at least one NCAA tournament win in both. And though the record might look a little bit different, 9-5, they still have a chance to go through the ODAC. And you understand, I think, for Roanoke, you know, with this game on their schedule, then EMU, then Shenandoah, they have games that they can still win, and they obviously expect to.
Yeah, winnable games down the stretch. Momentum for the tournament, very possible for both teams. But certainly, I think coaches always say we're going to take it one game at a time, but human nature to look ahead down the schedule a little bit, I think.
For this Lynchburg team, they'll face EMU as well. That'll be the final contest of the regular season, and EMU is somebody who has been right in the middle of the action. If you look at the conference standings, right now in 6th. Kutuzis ready to go, gets past, and couldn't stop the All-American. Another notch and fire opportunity for the Maroons, who move right back into the driver's seat.
It's back-to-back draw controls, and it's back-to-back goals to start the second period. So we said coming into frame number 2 that we were keeping an eye on the draw controls, how critical that is. Well, you see it right there, and Roanoke takes advantage, as they should. Lynchburg's got to break that trend. You can't let the Maroons get 3 straight here on the draw control. And then if they do, you got to reorganize. You got to get lined up in the back, know where everybody is, and try to fight for a defensive stand.
Well, we mentioned the first quarter was problematic last time out. They trailed 5-1 versus Shenandoah, and 20 turnovers for Lynchburg, the most since February 22nd. And so you understand, if you do some housekeeping, you clean things up, you might not have a quarter like that where you give up 5 or 6 goals. But like you said, the draw control is just as important, and Roanoke has now taken 3 straight.
Yeah, 3-0 to start this second quarter here. Lynchburg's really got to dig in. Try to force a turnover, or force a wild shot. Yeah, there you go.
Hornets trying to stand firm. Great work defensively. Meredith Bornholt obviously tasked with Catuzas for the moment. Able to find some space. Now the Hornets can try and complete the clear opportunity.
Yeah, Bornholt at her best right there, using her length to get the stick in the passing window just enough and then scramble for the ground ball.
Will it be quick offense up and under for Hossauer, who is just an inch or 2 high. Now behind the goal, Lynchburg ready to reinstate. Chance number 2.
Yeah, a true transition try there, Evan, but smart because you got Norco behind the goal. She's going to be first to it when it goes out. So that's actually a smart play right there. You aim for that top bar, and if you miss, you should have a possession. If you pull it down a little bit, you got yourself a nice goal.
You like that Hossauer is confident to do that as well, especially here in her sophomore year as the ball is loose. Roanoke's take it over again. Another nice look for this Lynchburg offense. Got to feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, and you got to feel good about that defense there from the Maroons. They kind of made it crowded down there behind the goal, muddied things up, caused Lynchburg to lose possession.
You wonder what was said in the huddle from Coach Brown. This Roanoke team has come out looking not only a little more fired up, but the discipline, and especially in the center circle, they have just dominated every category so far to start this second frame.
Well, I think you hit on something there at the quarter break. I don't know that it was a big tactical change for Roanoke. I think more on the mental side, more energy, more fire, more passion, like you said.
And obviously, on our side of things, you can't hear what's being said on the track, but you got all the students, you got a lot of energy. And Code Red, as we said, the open of the broadcast, as Coach Rafferty puts it, it manifests its own energy. You don't have to pour anything into it. Just got to let these ladies play and soak it up. Another chance for the Maroons trying to get to the doorstep. Oh, wow. Trigonometry on display. Got to find your different angles. And what a goal from Maddie McDonald.
That was a hard-fought goal right there. Chastity Corner did some great defensive stuff for Lynchburg. She had a little solo stop there to stymie the first attack, and then she got in to help out, but McDonald just got skinny going through all the traffic there to get one. That's big right there. That's quality. 2-goal lead for Roanoke. I believe that's their biggest of the night so far.
McDonald has 35 goals coming into this contest. Add 2 more. Also 55 draw controls. Player who goes to the circle and really can dominate, leads the team in that category. Yeah, if you feel like you ever had a moment in this game where you need one, this has got to be in that discussion, because Lynchburg not only searching for a draw control, but just searching for a chance to get the offense going again. You don't want to lose that fire that you built in the first quarter.
Got to keep pouring something on it. Find some more kindling to drop on there. Gasoline would be better, and Lynchburg can do that. They can heat up quickly, but yeah, just keep it going. That one did not work out for Lynchburg. Another draw control for Roanoke, and then look at how quickly they get in position to attack.
Steinow had the size, just couldn't corral cleanly, and once again, Roanoke is just very shifty, moving to their spots. Doherty defending closely on the far side. Roanoke has several candidates to take a shot and try to add on to this lead when you need it most. Shooting 70%. Alexis Sin has to keep that head on a swivel now. You understand you don't want to change any of the tactics, but you do know that a goal here would be big time for the Maroons right on the doorstep. And a late deflection. Lynchburg should have this one. It was tight, but Roanoke will repossess.
Okay. 60 more on the clock. A good save from Sin, though. That was more great passing for Roanoke to really free up an opening right in front of the cage. And I think Sin probably asking for a little bit more from her defense. Maybe you compact things around the goal just a bit more. Leave the outer orbits open. Let Roanoke do what they want out there. And maybe you draw the defense just in a little bit tighter, try to crowd that front area.
You don't mind if you're getting beat from the mailbox or from the tree in the front yard. You don't want to get beat right on the doorstep. And this Lynchburg defense has done well throughout the season to prevent those opportunities. But Roanoke starting to exploit some holes.
Yeah, and Roanoke's so good with their screening and their pick actions, and you can see it right here as they set up a play from the top to burst a player free.
Ready to go a second time. Katuzis over the top. You know, what was interesting is that last time out at home versus Averett, Lynchburg gave up 8 goals, something that they were probably a little frustrated about, but none of them really came in transition as Roanoke laces another off a play. And they are starting to dominate here in this second frame. You don't need to go quick or use those extra pace plays. You just got to set up the offense, and that's where Lynchburg has to answer the bell now.
They really do have to answer at this point. Down by 3, which maybe on paper or on the screen doesn't feel like a lot, but when Roanoke gets rolling, as we've seen, they can basically be unstoppable. So Lynchburg has got to find a way to turn it around. He could see a timeout coming here from Coach Rafferty. I think maybe if there was another goal, definitely you would see Coach Raff maybe take time, try to organize a little bit. But right now, she's going to let the gals do their thing. And again, I think if Lynchburg can just win a draw control, Evan, well, I was right and I was wrong. The timeout's actually going to come right now for Lynchburg.
Let's just keep it right here for the moment. So you're looking at this offense from Roanoke. They've really started to figure it out. Another goal for Reagan Becker, and it was off an assist. That really poses an interesting discussion. So 2 assists for the Maroons today on 8 goals. I'm going to give you a stat that might be a little bit crazy when you look at Lynchburg's wins from this season. They have had now 11 combined wins, and they have allowed just 4 assists in those games.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You know, we talk about how Roanoke is operating. They've had so many passes right by the goal to get in. You know, what has to change for the Hornets to prevent some of those cuts, but to also, like you said, keep those shots from the outside?
Yeah, I think maybe you do. You just back off the defensive pressure just a little bit. Now, I know Lynchburg, that's their identity, that high pressure, player to player. That's part of the reason why teams don't get a lot of assists. But you have to be adaptable. You have to be flexible. And maybe as the game goes on, you can figure out some of those plays for Roanoke a little bit. You know, the Maroons are doing a great job with those set plays. Get everybody in a crowd up top and then run off the screens, and you have action behind the net. It's really a good offensive program right now for Roanoke. So as far as adjustments, I mean, I think Coach Rafferty is obviously much better suited to think about those than we are, but I think we're all thinking about it from a Lynchburg standpoint. If you're Roanoke, you know, maybe that's part of the game plan there is, hey, we're going to keep doing this, but let's anticipate Lynchburg's next move a little bit. What will we have to do when they adjust? A bit of the chess match, I guess, if you would say, move, counter move.
Absolutely, and, you know, that's what I was going to mention. It feels like it is looking at those next few steps, but Roanoke, I mean, right now in stride, you're just saying, okay, you know, we have really operated and found that offense that we couldn't find in the first quarter. You know, if you can keep that going and even not relying on Blair Katuzis as much, we've seen the goal scoring from everybody.
Yeah.
You have a really great machine.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why Lynchburg's having a tough time right now. Roanoke is not predictable by any stretch of the imagination. They're using different goal scores. And, again, the draw control. I mean, that's the other thing. If Lynchburg can get some footing on the draw control, they'll be okay. Now, when you're down 3 like Lynchburg is, you probably can't do the ball control quite as much, maybe not as much emphasis on running it down late in the shot clock. You may want to score quicker and get multiple possessions, but start with the draw control, go from there.
That's why you got to keep that lead at 3 right now. You don't want to have to rush the latter portions of this game. Now, going to give you one more question. It was Showcase Day, so we might as well just start peppering the pop quiz stuff. during the huddle, we saw Roanoke had one big group. You got everybody in one, and Coach Erica Brown talking. On Lynchburg's side, they had the defense on one and the offense on one. You know, what do you think is the difference in that? Do you think the Hornets are trying to specialize a little more, or do you think it's just a little bit of a style thing?
I think it's different styles, but to me, that's what makes sports, right? It's just a little different, unique things that you see. Even if something small like that, you noticed it. And I think that's what's so cool about sports, because if everybody did it the same way, we get a little bit old, get predictable. Right. So, yeah, let's see some different things. And, you see some fun stuff pregame with the songs and the chants and you get weird mascots and things, like Lynchburg's baseball team apparently has a plastic duck now that they bring to games.
What?
And I don't understand it, but, hey, it's fun, right?
Saved from College Lake in the days of the draining water.
Right.
Roanoke trying to score again. 3-goal lead. Sydney Dumas got a green card, headed over to the box. Another chance. Oh, my goodness. Connect the dots. Grace Katuzis back on the score sheet. 4-goal lead and a commanding second quarter from the Maroons.
Yeah, really taking firm control here in the second quarter. A great start for Lynchburg, but an even better second quarter for the Maroons. And nice from Katuzis there to just step down and fire. Typically on our free positions, everybody wants to get a running start. She could do that too, but she'll go to the second, third options there just to step and shoot it. Very nice from Katuzis. That's hard to stop.
You think about confidence. I mean, for Katuzis, everybody is going to see what she's done in the past, and that's what you have on your resume as a former All-American. But to go and really divvy it up and have the confidence to still strike, because you see players trying to change, but then it doesn't work out. Katuzis has so many tools in the box, and you're starting to see it on your screen.
Yeah, those great ones know when to stay with the fastball and when to go to the changeup, and I think she is a great one, because you're right, no shortage of scouting reports and material on Katuzis. Okay, there you go. There's the draw control Lynchburg needed. Let's see if they can get some momentum here. Something. Just stop the Roanoke momentum anyway.
Critical clear here, and the Hornets right now just trying to hold on. Heffernan does so. Across the horn. Really sloppy in the middle third, something that Coach Rafferty wants to improve. As Doherty's ready to go far side. And now Lynchburg can enter the equation again. 5 unanswered from the Maroons here in the second quarter. Roanoke leads the conference in goals with 15.6 per game. Lynchburg just trailing behind at 15.5, and the both teams are also in the conference's top 3 for assists per game.
Good possession here from Lynchburg, and you got to have a good one at this point, down 4.
Little isolation from Hossauer goes over the top, much like that last play we saw, and now the Maroons might try to repossess. Sydney Dumas shows off the speed. Now working for an opening. The junior from Kennebunk, Maine. 2 undefeated seasons and state titles. Also a soccer player. She dishes off for Hossauer. Just off the pipe.
Goalie's best friend.
Hornets tried once again, and Stallings able to find the back door.
You got to say a better possession. I mean, Dumas really taking charge there with her speed. It's straight line speed. And then you watch her turn corners, and that's arguably more impressive. And then I was also impressed with Dumas. She knew that she did a lot of sprinting there and was about to be gassed out, so she gave the ball up at the right time. Lynchburg got a decent shot, just couldn't convert.
You feel like that's the toughest thing when you know you did everything right. Just a little short. This Lynchburg defense pressed into action again.
Yeah, you got to dig in. Watch the off-the-ball defense here. See what Lynchburg does. You know, Bornholt is so good on the ball and off the ball. And she's obviously going to draw the toughest assignments there. Trying to keep Katuzis and Blair a little bit quiet.
This time shot over the top and in. That's the rescue run and those isolation opportunities. You think about the defense and how tightly they have been playing some of the Maroons attackers. You give up 1 or 2 of those cuts and you have them one-on-one. The Maroons present it perfectly.
And that's the razor's edge right there, just in about 60 seconds of lacrosse, right? Because Lynchburg hits the bar could be a 9-6 game. Instead, now all of a sudden it's a 5-goal lead because Roanoke takes advantage of the good break. They clear it out, go down, and score again. Maroons really in command now. It's not over yet for Lynchburg, but you just have to play so perfect to erase 5-goal deficits in women's lacrosse.
When Lynchburg, in a large portion of their wins this season, have been leading at the end of the first half. They've never lost a game after leading through 30 minutes. Right now, looking like that's not going to be part of the picture. Stellar offense in a multitude of ways from the Roanoke Maroons, who have firmly taken possession of this game. Now 6 goals in the second quarter, another draw control, everything going right for the ladies in black. Another chance, Catuzis weighs her options, stays outside. So dangerous to get other players involved. We mentioned it, you got those big-time performers up front, but it is a supporting cast for Roanoke that really emulates Lynchburg's numbers.
That's exactly right. It's a total team effort on the offensive side, especially for these Maroons.
Ready to fire again. Sin had it in her stick.
Whistle.
Referee.
Sorry, whistle kind of blew there on the shot, so I'm not sure, but it's Lynchburg possession either way.
Good point, and it was stopped pretty firmly before anything happened, so maybe just a confidence play there for Sin to see it go in her stick. Now a chance for Neely Morris, ready to fire, goes across her body, and picked up by Stallings. Another big-time stop.
Really was early offense for Lynchburg there. They did attack on the run in transition. I thought Morris got a good swing there. I mean, again, you can't feel too bad about that if you're Lynchburg. Just got to try to work a little bit harder for the rebound maybe. Now I got to dig in defensively. Again, broken record maybe if you're a Lynchburg fan.
Catuzis has Bornholt on her heels, and then maybe smart just to use this offense and stay patient. I mean, how many plays? We've seen Catuzis score a few times today, but it's the facilitation. Say that a few times fast. If you look at how she operates up front, it's kind of like Sydney Dumas. She opens up options for her teammates, and then you're seeing it, as this starts to really come into motion.
And Catuzis is so smart that, I'll hold that thought here.
Maroons ready to strike again. Catuzis ready for shooting practice, but this time it's stopped. Maroons will repossess.
Yeah, that was catch and release there for Catuzis. She got 2 open on that one.
Another opportunity right on in. Not much else to say for this Lynchburg team, struggling and just trying to catch a breath here in the second quarter. Now 11 for 18 on shooting opportunities here through just about 25 minutes. Roanoke taking over.
Yeah, and the Maroons won't let the Hornets breathe. There's no opportunity to catch a breath. This is a dream quarter for Roanoke. It's a nightmare quarter for Lynchburg right now. A complete domination of the quarter for Roanoke after what was a great back and forth first quarter. Again, I don't know if the Maroons flipped a switch. Maybe it was the chat in between quarters. Maybe it's just a combination of factors right now, but Roanoke looks great at the moment.
I mean, whatever Coach Erica Brown said through 15 minutes, maybe she needs to come in before I take final exams, because this Roanoke team woke up and they have shown off here in this second quarter, and obviously it's not something that we didn't expect when you look at the offensive numbers. This Roanoke team can do it, but they have really shown what they can do as a committee. Back to the circle we go. Reagan Bradley takes a stab at it. Corner. Physicality momentarily, but now the door open for the Maroons to come right back in.
It is that snowball effect. And the snowball, as it continues downhill, picks up more snow, and it becomes harder and harder to stop. That's what Roanoke has going on right now. We can search for more cliches, but it's exactly what the Maroons would have wanted. They're executing here in quarter number 2.
Feels like the camera has tilted right for just about the entire quarter. Maroons want to add one more. Ready to fire. Great defense that time around by Strano, but another insertion right into the mix. Alexis Sin had to be careful, and Lynchburg by inches takes possession.
That was one where Lynchburg made the dirt there in front of the goal, crowded. I think that's what they have to do more. Again, easier said than done, obviously. everything seems easy for the broadcaster. It's much harder to do out there on the field.
When a lot of the plays that you see from here in this bird's eye view look a lot different when you're down there either on the track or on the sideline. And you think about some of these angles that we're seeing, it makes it that much more impressive.
Yeah, that's a great point, too, because it looks slower up here. Game speed is much more different, and it's a great thing to keep in mind, probably for any sport, but especially women's lacrosse. It does happen a lot quicker down there than you even realize.
Pace is something the Hornets like, and they have employed it multiple times throughout this season. That's a reason that they've reached 11 wins, but this time around it's going to be a little bit tougher. Roanoke is obviously a team that is above 500 in conference play. Lynchburg hasn't faced many of those opponents in recent times here on Schellenberger Field. It's the first home game versus a team in the ODAC above 500 since March 4th when they played W&L.
Interesting home schedule for Lynchburg. Their two toughest games have come at home, CNU and W&L, and then some others that, they won and won rather convincingly. So some of that's just random, obviously. But the fans have had a lot to cheer about, and they've seen some good lacrosse here at Schellenberger Field as well.
Well, it feels like so many of those games that have been tight have been on the road. We think about those games when you look at Bridgewater in the middle of the table and Randolph-Macon, obviously a team that gets it by a goal at the end of the game. So the referees will have a discussion.
Just back to the speed of the game real quick. Give you a reference from the track and field world, which is one of Evan's specialties. Think about a 100-meter dash. When you watch it from up here, you see him run the entire 100 meters. You see him come down the straightaway. It takes 10 seconds or whatever. So they look fast, but it's not blazing. You see everybody. But when you're down there on the track, if you stand at a spot as they go by you, it just blows you away with how fast these guys and gals go. And that's the same thing up here. We see it a lot slower because you're away from it and you got a little higher perspective. So it looks slower from up here.
That's a great reference. Definitely a different perspective. I told my mom back when I watched Usain Bolt in the Olympics, I said, I think I can run about 40 miles per hour before knowing that he runs 27.
Yeah.
Definitely different on the field. The Hornets, fast or slow, go a little change of pace this time. A roller that rolls on in, filing through, and back on the board here in the second quarter.
Oh, yeah, exactly what Lynchburg needed right there. And how about the finish? Go down low, a little worm burner, a little carpet digger. Another look there. That's fantastic. Outstanding use of the angles right there. Lynchburg needed it. Let's see if the Hornets use that for some momentum. Again, at least maybe they break the Roanoke momentum a little bit.
And how cool is it that it's a freshman, Liz Poitras, the one to try and break the streak? You usually rely on those veterans, somebody who's been in the moment before. Poitras says enough is enough.
Sometimes those freshmen just don't know any better, right? They don't fear the moment or anything like that. The moment's not too big because they're just out there playing and having fun, trying to make the right plays. And that was the right play there.
I think ideally as a coaching staff, that's what you want to be across the entire roster, just that mentality of fearlessness and going out and not having any extra perspective for the moment, not comparing it to last year or last game. Maroons want to erase that goal and rather quickly. Searching to go inside, they will go all the way around. Draw controls after a quarter of dominance from the Hornets have completely swung the other way. "70 seconds to play here in the second frame.
And just over 55 on the shot clock.
Maroons more isolation, looking to go inside, pass out. Great motion, a lot of what we've seen from Lynchburg this year. This time the Maroons right at the goal, and Alexis Sen comes up big.
Yeah, denied again right there. So this is the momentum piece potentially for Lynchburg. Got the goal, got a good stop from Alexis Sen. Got to clear it, get something going offensively. Lynchburg should have, 25, 30-ish seconds by the time they get set up. We'll see. Make the most of this waning time here in the first half.
Got to break it into intervals. You understand a 4-goal game is just a 2-goal advantage each quarter. Lynchburg wants to get there as Liz Poitras was ready to fire, denied right next door. Stallings has it in her stick. That is big time.
Great setup for Lynchburg. That was a fantastic save. I thought just based on the setup, Lynchburg would have a pretty high conversion percentage there.
Watch out, final seconds of the quarter. Can the Maroons beat the buzzer going downtown, and it's over and out. Oh, wow. Roanoke showing their pace. Lynchburg is going to have to play catch-up in the second half. They trail by 5, but a little bit of optimism as Liz Poitras slots home their only goal of the second quarter near the end. Roanoke has taken command. We'll see if they hold on in the second 30 minutes. We'll go back and take a look at some of the halftime stats and analysis on the other side, but you're watching a Code Red affair on Schellenberger Field.
Lynchburg is all about you, your ideas, and your goals. We've got one professor for every 10 students, so you can get all the support you need. In the classroom, in the lab, or in nature, you'll learn by putting yourself out there, and we're right there with you. Lynchburg is all about you, your ideas, and your goals. We've got one professor for every 10 students, so you can get all the support you need. In the classroom, in the lab, or in nature, you'll learn by putting yourself out there, and we're right there with you.
I was really attracted to Lynchburg primarily because my dad went here. He is an alum, so I kind of had that close tie of being interested in this school, and the school had what I wanted to study. I knew I wanted to help people in the area of health and wellness, so the health promotion program was definitely a program that drew me in, and from day one I've been in love with it, and I wouldn't have chosen any different. I have never had better professors or teachers in my life, and I think here at the University of Lynchburg, the professors definitely care about their students, especially in the health promotion department. These professors want you to be educated, want you to have the experience, and just want you to feel confident going into your career path following your collegiate education. You just feel like you're cared for here and that you matter, and that no matter what, at the end of the day, you're going to be successful, and the people here really want to be here, and everyone has a purpose, and it's just a great environment to be in.
Be ready for anything, okay? Come on, let's go together! Together, let's go! Come on! Let's go, keep going! There is the death trip. Straight? Straight up, yep. Yeah. Cool! Come on, there you go, come on! Good one! Alright guys, you see the meat grinder down here? Stay in the boat, let's go! Oh, what'd you think of that? Woo!
Get your career in the game by enrolling in the University of Lynchburg MBA program with an emphasis in sport management. This program opens the doors to new possibilities for a variety of careers, from being an athletic director or working in athletic administration to working for professional organizations, your favorite team, to running a local Parks and Rec department. And employers are increasingly requesting and preferring individuals who have postgraduate education, specifically looking for an MBA. And so the University of Lynchburg Sport Management concentration in the MBA program sets you up for success, and it sets you apart from the many other people looking for jobs in the industry. Learn from winners. Here you will learn from professors and mentors who have spent their careers doing exactly what you want to do. Increase your marketability in an $83 billion industry. If you have a 3.0 GPA, the GMAT is waived. There's no application fee, admissions occurs on a rolling basis, and our online program is ideal for working adults. When you enroll in this program, you enroll in the opportunity to learn from the best of the best. Your professors have a wealth of experience working in the sport industry that they share with you in the classroom setting. Get in the game by getting your MBA with a sport management concentration at the University of Lynchburg. Just you know, Hollywood, here I come. Hey, I meant, yeah.
The real Lindsay Piper's here.
Autographs there later. Let's.
Welcome back on Schellenberger Field. Lynchburg right now trailing Roanoke by 5 goals, an 11-piece from the Maroons, largely due to their second quarter contributions. It was all across the board. Really haven't had one headliner, Kyle, but it feels like because of that committee effort, not only are they in the lead, but they're getting draw controls and they have confidence going into the second half.
I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. It's a great team effort for Roanoke. They have not become predictable. They have converted opportunities. And the draw control has really been a standout, as we thought it would be. If Lynchburg can balance that up, they'll have a better chance. But now, again, Lynchburg's in a five-goal hole, so they actually have to do more in the draw control than just balance it up. If you're Lynchburg, you're hoping for 75-80% range kind of on the draw control in the second half. That won't be easy, but I think that this Hornets squad is capable of that. Roanoke will have a say in the equation as well.
Well, I think, the misconception is when you're looking at a 5-goal lead, you think, okay, we got to get 5 goals. No, you're probably going to have to get a few more because you can't expect this Roanoke team to just go off into the distance without scoring in 30 minutes. This is, of course, the top offense in the ODAC, as we'll take a look at some of the numbers from the first 30 minutes. I mean, when you understand that not only is this Roanoke team performing at a high rate in the scoring tally, they also have 20 shots and 3 assists. And so you know that, yes, the offense is functioning, but it's the foundation of it that has been really good. It's not just by chance that they have 11.
Their offense really is so well-rounded. We've seen some different setups. We've seen some isolation stuff. Roanoke has converted on the free position. So, yeah, it's a joy to watch. Roanoke fans will be saying that. Lynchburg will be saying just the opposite. And an excellent point again there you made as far as you can't just plan on scoring 5 or 6 goals if you're Lynchburg, because not realistic to think you're going to shut Roanoke out for an entire half, let alone even a quarter. I mean, the big quarter for Roanoke was period 2, but they still scored 4 times in the first frame.
That's right. And so far in clears, this is a Roanoke team that has gone 9 for 10, and Lynchburg perfect 5 for 5 as we see it on our screen. I mean, that's pretty impressive, and it's as advertised. These two teams clearing at over 85% this season, in the top 50 of the NCAA, or really top 35 if you want to get specific. So, we're seeing that fast pace in between plays, and it's really delivering on both sides, but it makes even more emphasis on the draw control, knowing, okay, the teams are going to get it back and forth. You got to have possession, though.
Can I talk about Give Day real quick before half 2 starts? 2025 Give Day tomorrow. Give to the Hive in 2025. We've got some great little challenges and things that are going on. Our outstanding president, Dr. Allison Morrison Shetler, is going to add a little to the pot. She's going to match some donations. All the information is available online. And the history is 122 years ago. It's the 122nd anniversary. Dr. Hopwood got 5 associates to donate $100 each to found the school. Well, it wasn't a university back then, but founding the school. So if he could get that done in 122 years ago, you can give $100 this year. Or I'm saying at minimum, let's give 25. Give
That's
$25 in 2025. We can all do at least that. Also, I did the math on the conversion rate. In today's money, it would be like $3,650. That's what $100 then is now. So, and that's still doable too for a lot of people as well. But give a little, give a lot. Just see if you can help us out on Give Day, which is tomorrow, and it's all tax deductible. That's hard.
Right.
It's hard to say in the third quarter.
Well, you think too. I mean, we have all the college students probably listening. They're like, 3,000. Oh my goodness! Everybody's donation matters. It doesn't matter how small or how big.
That's right.
It is such a special day, and I mean, it just feels festive this week. You had the Student Scholar Showcase today, and all these students showing off a lot of their presentations they've worked hard on. Got Code Red in the mix as well as the Maroons ring around the rosy, knock it in. And it's an easy-looking goal as they are right back where they left off.
The body control there to turn the corner, and several adjustments and reroutes in this attack as well. Just ends up being a fantastic goal. Yeah, watch, dip the left shoulder there a little bit, get a little faster, kind of a little fake down low, and then a medium height. That's really good, and that is hard to stop. Seems like Roanoke is picking up where they left off.
Maddie McDonald has been fantastic today for the Maroons. Now 4 goals. She is one of 2 that have picked up a hat trick for Roanoke. Katuzis also has 3, along with an assist. I mean, that's tough to guard as a goalie as well, because you think it's so predictable. Yes, they're running in one direction, but it can be so easy for an attacker to try and slip it in first. You don't know if they're going to wait and go for that later over-the-shoulder shot.
Yeah, that was really a quality attack by McDonald. I loved how you noticed she was really chopping the feet there. You can change directions better with those short, choppy steps. The long strides are a little faster in a straight line, but you can't change directions as you get a little physical, rough stuff there in the middle of the field. And it looks like this is going against Lynchburg.
A little bit of animation on the Roanoke sideline. They're still getting into it, up 6. They understand what this game means, and, I think for opposing teams, and this doesn't just go for lacrosse, this goes for every sport, you see that, okay, this is the Code Red game. Maybe you know, maybe you don't, but when you see Lynchburg's picking that event on the schedule, I mean, we think that it really helps the Lynchburg teams in providing energy. Their opposing teams are out there going, oh, wow, we haven't maybe seen an environment like this on the road this season. Let's get just as into it.
Sometimes the opponent does match that. It sometimes wakes you up a little bit when you're the other team's Code Red game. Or, other schools obviously have their own version of it. So it's become a thing in college athletics for sure. It's almost a homecoming game opponent kind of a vibe.
Another shot that is wide left. Second chance on the doorstep. McDonald is ready for the 5-piece. It'll have to wait. Is there a third time's a charm situation brewing? Maroons One-on-one, better defense from Lynchburg at the moment. Just waiting for that one golden pass. They have gotten closer and closer. Another chance. Is this the one? Dodging and weaving. Plenty of time, and it's caught by Sin.
Good defensive stand there for Lynchburg. I think Lynchburg's been great in the one-on-ones, the individual defense all game. It's the cutters and the off-the-ball stuff that I think the Hornets have struggled with. That time they had it locked down. Good save by Sin.
Now a transition opportunity. I think Coach Rafferty is probably on the sideline saying, you know, what are we waiting for? You got a lot of time left, but you do want to go and exploit those opportunities.
Yeah, I think Lynchburg may have to work a little quicker here in the second half, even if that's not your game plan A, your plan 1. I think you might have to speed up. Maybe you do try to score a bit more in transition, and maybe you don't let the shot clock run down quite as much. It's kind of the hand you got to play right now if you're Lynchburg.
Morris loses possession, but free position on the way. I mean, how much time do you wait until you change that and go to plan B? It's really interesting how different coaches have different thoughts on that.
Yeah, and you do have to take what the defense offers as well. You can't just be stingy to a game plan to a point that you ram your head into a wall. I mean, you got to be adaptable and flexible, and that's that feel piece, that IQ piece that Lynchburg, I think most of their players are pretty good at.
In the ODAC, you're guaranteed to see a few opponents that make you offer that question. Another chance on deck for Hossauer. She likes the free position. She'll have one and a straightaway chance. Hossauer installing. She goes down and in. The turf welcomes it that time. It's a 5-goal lead. Lynchburg starting to shave into it, and still plenty of time to go.
Needed it, yeah. Keep building momentum, get more traction, get your own snowball going if you're Lynchburg. Here's the setup straight away.
I mean, out of the blocks and in.
Yeah, that's really good. Bring it up high and then go back down. That's so tough for a goalie. We've mentioned that on other broadcasts. You know, your eyes, I think, naturally, again, it's human nature to follow the ball and the stick up, and that you want to, as a goalie, want to track it, but then you start low, go up, shot goes back down. So difficult to defend, and that's why we see it so much, because it works.
I mean, how many free positions have we seen on Schellenberger this year that are going top shelf? You know, they're very, obviously, if you're going to do that, you got to paint the corner.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I bet the high-level teams are tracking that kind of stuff as far as where does player A go on the free position opportunities? You know, how often does she shoot high and shoot low? How often do they pass out of the free positions? That's what you have to do if you want to take your team to the next level, is have an understanding of that stuff. And it's sometimes hard to remember it when you're out there as a player, but at least a general overview of what players' tendencies are, what they like to do.
We almost wonder if goalies start making it like hockey, trying to get lower, because we've seen so many shots right off the turf. Hornets get a big-time draw.
Well, and if you're a goalie, could you wear the quarterback-style wristband that has some notes on what each player likes to do? Could you have something like that for your goalies that you set up? And again, you're not automatically going to win 20 games because of that, but those little things add up.
Especially on the free position. You know who's taking it. It's not the run of action. Hossauer goes over the top. Strano connects the dots to Steinow. Great defense from a Roanoke squad that was second in the nation last year. Oh, wow. Shifty for Hossauer, trying to get to the spot.
Snatched the ankles there for Hossauer. Got denied of the goal, but she'll get another chance right there. That was fancy footwork. Free position chance coming here, and a chance for that traction that Evan and I talked about. Really feels necessary right now for Lynchburg. Hossauer denied. She tried to go high-low. Taken away.
Really a game of inches moment. It felt like that one was in off the initial delivery. Just misses.
Lynchburg trying to jam up the clear. A little full field ride kind of stuff for Lynchburg. And again, that's another one that they're probably going to have to do more of in order to erase the deficit. Got to try to cause a few quick turnovers. We know Roanoke's been basically rock solid in the clear. What, 9 for 10 in half number one was the number?
Yes, and I mean, to see that climb, yeah, you're going past the average of, I think, 86%. That's a pretty hard number to go in Eclipse because you got to have 10 clear attempts or 9 clear attempts to get there.
Yeah, and as the year goes on, it becomes harder and harder to move that number, but still fun to keep an eye on.
They have looked poised today, and maybe the bigger part of the equation is that they have come back after a bit of a struggle in the first quarter. There's been no time to waste. Using this shot clock as well, down to 25 ticks. 9 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Great one-on-one defense from Doherty. Pass denied, goes right back to Sin.
Starts with the one-on-one defense, and then you anticipate a cutter or two breaking across the middle. Sen has really been seeing it better here as the sun goes down. I said the sun was a problem for the broadcasters. Maybe it was more of a problem for the goalies than we thought. And again, I don't have any proof or evidence right there, and the goalies might tell you, no, I saw everything fine in the first half.
Well, what's interesting is they switch sides every quarter. It's like football, and so it's not like soccer where, you know, if you have a 5 o'clock game, if we were starting now, you have a whole 45 minutes
That's
looking
true.
into it.
So Lynchburg pressuring the clear more. Oh, nearly had a chance. Norco was in the zip code. Lynchburg still might get it. Yeah, great effort there by Lynchburg. You know, the Maroons, they had to go get the goalie involved on the clear. That tells you something about Lynchburg's defensive effort.
Definitely starting to pick up a little bit of urgency, and Stallings just missed the pass. Rifles around a few times, and ultimately Roanoke loses possession. That's one of those turnovers you do not want to have.
I like what Norco's done. I don't know much about the box score and the stat sheet, but for me, she's been around the ball a lot, making a lot of great plays. We know Jenna Norco is that team-first kind of player. She'll score every now and then, but her preference is to get the teammates involved and let them do the heavy hitting.
Very astute observation, because Norco, you look at the goals, like you said, that's what sticks out. That's the first stat on the sheet when you look at it, and you don't necessarily see her name until you go lower down in the list because the goals aren't there. But you see her getting these opportunities in the minutes, and she has been around really the entire game.
Yeah, she has. She's been a fixture for me.
Chance. Oh, wow. Neely had everything but the goal.
It's 2 times today. Lynchburg's had the rubber hit the steel, I believe. Sounded like it had that high-pitched ping. I know the goalie got a piece there, but I think definitely the post was involved slightly on that stop.
Neely Morris without a goal in this game so far. She's been on that streak. And 7 hat tricks this year. She had 5 last season. Increased productivity. You keep saying it and saying, wow, she's already matched that total from last season. But then you forget there's only 1 more game left in the regular season. It's that game versus EMU on the road in a week's time. That shot pops the net. Roanoke right back to it.
That's what you couldn't have there if you're Lynchburg, because the Hornets had really had a period of 4 or 5 minutes there of play where maybe they didn't dominate, but you felt like Lynchburg was taking the advantage, and now all of a sudden Roanoke responds. You go back to Neely Morse for a second. You said without a goal. Maybe that's a big part of the Roanoke game plan, as it looks like the Maroons are going to make a goalie change. But maybe part of the Roanoke game plan, Evan, is, hey, we know we can only slow down Sydney Dumas. Maybe we can take away scoring options 2, 3, and 4. That's an interesting thought there that really just occurred to me when you mentioned that Neely Morris hasn't scored yet.
Definitely interesting. And, the stats every single game will change. You think about somebody like Neely, it's going to come at some point just with the natural flow of the offense. But you wonder how much time is left, as Roanoke did sub out goalies, as we just mentioned. So Amber Stallings' day is over. And a solid one. Holds the Hornets to just 7, but, you look at the last quarter and a half, it's been really good stuff.
I don't know what to make of that change. I think maybe it was just a planned change. Hey, you're going to play the first half and some change in the third quarter, and then we're going to mix it up. The body language is a little interesting coming to the sideline, but I don't want to speculate because we're not inside coach's head and all those sorts of things. So who knows what the story is. but a goalie change nonetheless, and we'll keep our eyes on the new one in the pipes.
Kendall Todd, the new one, and I think this might answer some of the questions as corner goes around. Airmails this shot just about a foot high. So Kendall Todd this season has started 12 matches, 60 saves, 95 goals allowed, and a 1071 goals against average. But, you know, she was almost what you would think would be the expected starter for this one. We've seen her and Stallings get their fair share. So maybe it is a planned switch. I mean, like you said, you know, you can read into the body language. That might say something.
Yeah, a little over halfway in the third quarter.
Look at the pass. First test was almost arriving. Great pass from corner over the top to Steinow.
Gonna be a turnover, unfortunately, for Lynchburg. Again, another decent setup there for the Hornets. Couldn't cash in. We'll watch a little bit of a slower clearance opportunity.
And you know, it's really tough because you think, let's compare it to a bullpen, right? In baseball, you see, you get your warm-ups, your tosses, you even get a few on the field before things start. You know, as a goalie, you're going right into the mix. And even if you have a few tosses on the sideline, you got to catch up to the pace of play and know that, yes, Lynchburg is a very quick team. They're trying to get down the field in a hurry. How do you adjust to that?
That's a good point because, you know, you could face a few practice shots at halftime maybe, but, yeah, overall it's tough to get that feel, and I think that could be one of the harder things for a goalie. Watch out.
Wow, that is poetry. Made a miss, and Sydney Harrison hawks down another, and this team that was trailing after the first quarter has essentially left the stadium. If this train was in the station, it is long gone. Look at the move from Harrison.
Wow. Flash the feet, stutter step, just a subtle head and shoulder fake right and then go left. And all of a sudden you've got the entire cage to work with. Didn't stick the landing, but doesn't matter. 14-7, Roanoke on top and in charge.
Maroons are soaring in this contest now. Think about trying to play catch up in that first quarter. What's interesting is that we didn't really see an initial change from Lynchburg. I mean, obviously losing the draw control said a lot. Those stats were pretty evened out. But other than that, this Roanoke team has just capitalized when they got the chance. Looks like Harrison was a little shaken up too. Sorry, Kyle, but after that goal, she went straight to the sideline. So hoping everything's okay as she is a replacement in the game.
Good anticipation there on the draw control by the Maroons. They had 3 around it where Lynchburg only had 2. So again, it's the foot speed and the change of direction combined with some anticipation and maybe a gamble a little bit there as far as where that ball is going to squirt out. You leave to try to go to that spot early, and sometimes it works out for you.
Well, you wonder if it changes at all trailing in this game for Coach Rafferty's squad. You know, do you try to send players quicker to get into that attack?
Yeah, I think you almost have to take some chances and gamble a little bit, whatever that means for your particular team and situation. But, again, I think you got to try to change something here if you're Lynchburg. But I'll point out one more time, always easy to say that from up here.
Absolutely. And hindsight is 20/20. This game for the Hornets, it feels like they don't want to look back, trying to move forward, and corner is doing just that. Norco can't possess momentarily, runs into contact. Lynchburg had this game back to a 5-goal deficit at 12-7. Roanoke has added 2 more.
Good work there by corner. She's fun to watch at high speed in the open field. She really just blazes by and seems to make good decisions at high speed as well. Hornets are going to try to set something up. See who runs out of that big mass of bodies.
Wow, Steinow almost somehow slotted it home. This time it goes out. Free position should be on the way for the Hornets. So after hitting the turf, Steinow has a second opportunity, probably a little bit better in trying to frame this one. Todd really facing one of her first big tests of this game entering here in the third quarter. Steinow ready to go, down and in. Similar spot to the last few from the free position. It pays off again, and the Hornets right back to a 6-goal deficit.
So if you're Lynchburg, you keep plugging along here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you don't change. Maybe you stay with your normal style and just hope you can score 3, 4, 5 goals in a row. Then all of a sudden, Roanoke is on the back foot, and they're panicking a little bit. But either way, whether you change something or you don't, Lynchburg is going to have to play great. Nice goal right there. And the Hornets, you could tell they're still playing hard, which is something that we know from Coach Rafferty and the gals on the team. And they're always going to play hard regardless of score and scenario. And that's part of the reason why it's fun to watch, even in a game that's not as close. This one right now is a 6-goal lead for Roanoke. We still got time, though.
You want to just try and get some of that swagger back as well, because, yes, you can score the goals and you can still be in this game, but you might not feel like it. And the Hornets have to be on the sideline saying, okay, we don't necessarily need to get all of these at once. There's still 18 minutes in this game. But something will certainly have to change in the draw circle. It's been pretty 50-50 here in this third quarter, but the second was the difference maker. 8 for the Maroons, just 1 for Lynchburg.
Big one right there. That one came in a perfect direction for Lynchburg. And again, that's some anticipation, some luck. A good adjustment to snatch it out of the sky.
Anticipation in the draw is really one of the biggest factors we don't always touch on.
Yeah, you watch those chasers, those wings, and you see how they operate, and different teams do it a little bit differently. But again, you're always going to have some speed and skill at those spots along with the player that's actually on the draw in the center. They're obviously going to be quick and fast and have good hand-eye coordination. I mean, really your best players, right?
The Maroons have, in the past, obviously had some of those draw takers who are exclusively drawers. You know, you think about those Fogos, but it's so neat to see the committee effort, especially from Lynchburg, a team that has used Neely Morris, Maya Hossauer, both in the 40s in the draw controls. And you think, you know, it does take, like you said, that speed, but there's so much more to it. And just having the feel for the game in the circle really helps, because not only are you helping your team possess, but you're giving them a little bit of pace, and that's what the Hornets need.
And you don't see many shorter players on the draw or around the circle as well. Height is really valued there because so many do go airborne, and you get that jump ball situation. And there's a kind of a similarity with basketball and the jump ball, right?
Yes. Somebody like me would not be going out for the tip.
You're not giving yourself enough credit.
All right, maybe rec league back in like 5th grade, but that's if I was playing with them now. Might have to take time back. The Maroons filing through. It has been a committee effort. Nonetheless, they are adding and adding quickly. Now 15-8.
Yeah, it kind of caught us in the middle of talking about basketball. The Maroons just keep scoring. 90 seconds left in the third. They split a double team there, and that was one you expect her to pass out of it, Maddie McDonald, and she fooled you. She just goes right through the double team, and all of a sudden that's enough of a crease that she can fire a shot. So back to these well-rounded offenses, they're so unpredictable. They've got so many ways they can beat you. Even on a singular possession, they find ways to beat you. They take what you give. Good performance right now for Roanoke. See if they keep their foot on the gas. Fully expect that they will, Evan.
Well, you know, it's tough to go out there and get ODAC Rookie of the Year, especially in a conference that has somebody like WNL at the top. She now has half a dozen in this game, and it doesn't necessarily feel like she has been the only one dominating for Roanoke. And like you said, it's just the fact that this offense has so many different shapes and sizes. The plays have all looked a little bit different. And she has now gotten Roanoke in a commanding spot.
Yeah, they've gone deep in the bag today, they being the Roanoke Maroons.
Erica Brown last season, too, was Coach of the Year. So you think about any combo of those end-of-the-year awards, that's probably the best combination you could have. You get a rookie who is in a really good spot in her career, and then you have the coach behind it, especially in her second season. And just looking at an optimistic future, you got one in Salem.
Sure do. Penalty here. But I love how these great coaches, like Coach Rafferty, Coach Brown, you know, they learn from the players. Everybody I shouldn't say everybody, but some people think, you know, it's all the coach just giving the directions and you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and I'm the puppet master pulling the strings. These great coaches learn from the players. They learn things about the game individually, collectively. They learn what their players can do, and then you find ways to set them up, put them in the best positions to use those strengths. And you learn the weaknesses, too, because, you know, we've all got those, so you keep them out of those areas where maybe they're not as good at some certain things.
You know, even hearing Coach Rafferty talk about last year's Code Red, you understand there is a lot to learn in those first few seasons as a coach. As Katouzis drops over the top. That was nifty, and a quick pass results in another pop of the net.
Yeah, Lynchburg defense really not used to this.
You saw the shot earlier.
Yep, it was a little early pump, and then the floating high pass there, right on target, and that's obviously one that's scripted, right? You know she's going to cut right there, but that's back to what we were saying. Roanoke has such a deep book, man. I mean, they're using a lot of things in the playbook, and then individually they're going deep in the bag to pull out some different things. 16-8 right now, doubling up on Roanoke. I want to ask you a question about this ODAC landscape. I mean, I know we're not even into the fourth quarter, but does it feel like a Roanoke team that could beat Washington and Lee? I mean, I know that's hard to say because different styles make fights and teams match up differently, and now we're doing a bunch of hypotheticals, but I asked it anyway, so.
That's right, and now I got to answer.
Okay.
Think about this. I mean, this is a WNL team that has only lost one championship since 2003. So I think if anybody has watched Moneyball or you're a statistician, you're saying no way that Evan Gates says yes. But you look at Roanoke's team, you understand what you have at stake, but maybe more importantly, it's a game like this when that fastball is maybe off at the start, or maybe you're just trying to figure things out. I mean, the Maroons have played a really tough schedule, and they did lose by 5 to WNL early in the season, but let's turn the page back to last year. Conference championship, you lose by 1. You don't know what a championship setting does to ignite a roster, much like the Code Red in the first quarter for Lynchburg. And so I don't think you write it off.
I think you're right, and I think for Lynchburg, they're just a few steps behind that right now. Games like this, the game against WNL, those are measuring sticks. Those are litmus tests. Lynchburg not quite there just yet, but I think there's reason to believe that the Hornets are going to be close. 3 complete here for us, Evan. We've got 15 more minutes of lacrosse to get to. Right now it's Roanoke 16, Lynchburg 8 on LHSN.
All right, my name is Joshua Carr. I am a senior. I am a theater major as well as a history minor. I love the arts. I love acting. I love entertaining. I live in 5th Street, the historic black neighborhood. The money came in, transfer, scholarship, all that. I appreciate that greatly. I pay my own tuition. I ain't got no help. I pay everything myself. I mean, I'm smart too. So they were like, you smart, here. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that though. You come here to do a job. I came here to do a job. A student's job is to get that degree and make something of ourselves. We got everything for you. We got you a 24-hour library. You got these sorority fraternities. We got the shoot for you. Is you gonna put it on? That's how University of Lynchburg is. Success is in the details. You know what I'm saying? It's like you learn it, know better, do better. What I love is they allow us to speak. They want our voices to be heard. They want us to talk. They want us to bring up the discomfort. They respect our point of views. They respect Black Lives Matter. They respect the LGBT community. They respect those, you know what I'm saying? That's what I love about my school. They respect that and they allow us to showcase and voice our expressions. I love the diversity here. I love the different interests of people here. I can act, dance, sing, box, play football. I can do it all, you know what I'm saying? I can teach somebody that doesn't know what I know, and that person can teach me something that I don't know that they know. That's what you get here. You get diversity, you get different people with different knowledge coming together, sharing information and helping each other out. That's what I love. That's why I say people. I love the people here. College, think about it. If it's not for you, fall back. If it's for you, go further with it. And University of Lynchburg will be that choice. It's going
Having some fun in a Code Red affair here on Schellenberger Field, LHSN and Lacrosse TV. There's a nice wraparound from McDonald. Now 6 goals in this contest. The free position shot has treated Lynchburg well. They've gone bottom left several times in this affair, but the Maroons very versatile in their offense. They've had a lot of options, and that's the reason they're winning this game 16-8 heading into the fourth quarter.
Ball game not done yet, but you really have to congratulate the Maroons on 3 quality quarters of lacrosse. We'll see if they can keep it going here. You know, that'll be interesting to see how the Maroons proceed. Is it foot on the gas? Do they get maybe some of the substitutes in there for some reps? We'll just wait and see how this first few minutes unfold. Lynchburg and Roanoke on LHSN and Lacrosse TV. Let's go back to our conversation about Lynchburg. So one final regular season game. That's a week from today, April 23rd at EMU. And then the tournament starts, and you and I were just talking about the seeding. If folks don't know, top 4 will host that first round. So it's very much a lot to play for in that EMU game next week.
You feel like, yes, EMU is at the middle of the table, but they have 2 really tough tests ahead of them because this Roanoke team will go to face them as well. So you might see a lot of shifting at the end of the year, but you think about home field advantage, something that we've talked about throughout the year. You don't want to do too much to emphasize it, but talking with Coach Rafferty, you know, you see, okay, last year you get Macon during the regular season and a 1-goal win, and then you lose in the quarterfinal. You're almost hoping that if you see Randolph-Macon in that 4 spot again, you can pose the opposite thing and go knock them out of the postseason. But as we said, there's no guarantee that you see the Yellow Jackets. You just don't know.
That's true. There's a lot of teams that are vying for seeding here in the ODAC tournament. Lynchburg looks like they might fall here to go to 11-5, but you could finish the regular season 12-5. I think it's a great step for Coach Rafferty in the second season. Major strides last year, more this year. Yes, every coach comes in with the dream of, oh, you know, maybe it'll be lightning in a bottle. We'll turn around and go undefeated in my first or second season. That's fun, and that happens, but not exactly realistic. I think Coach Rafferty's a realist. She's also very positive. She's an optimist. She knows this team is really capable of so much good stuff.
Katouzis on the free position, ready to go one-on-one with Sin. Goes downstairs and just slots it in. Nonchalant in the approach. That one looks easy for 33 in black. You know, you think about coaches, like you just said, that have that undefeated season or something crazy in their first or second year. I mean, how much of it at that point is coaching versus the talent that's already coming in? Because you understand, you know, yes, there's a great way to come in and contribute as a coach, but normally that requires your recruiting classes, and it's not just one.
Yeah, there's so many different situations. Every situation is unique. You look at the University of Lynchburg. I mean, we started programs here with the beach volleyball, men's volleyball, now wrestling coming up. So that's a unique situation for a coach, right? You're building that from the ground up. That's all you. Other times you're stepping into an existing program. Women's lacrosse always had a great tradition and a great pedigree here at Lynchburg. But if you're Coach Rafferty, you know, it's so difficult because you want to come in, you want to change things. You want to have your identity. You know, you can't change everything. You can't try to change everything. So you pick those battles. You decide what the focal points will be. You do try to bring in your own players, recruit your style. But it's interesting, and I think Coach Raff's done a great job, and she's really immersed herself in the sporting culture here. And you get Coach Slacum still on the staff, so you got that connection as a former player. That's fantastic. I love that. Some coaches shy away from that when they take a new job. They want a complete clean slate, but I like keeping the connection to some of the older teams.
And, you know, yes, that's a great point because for Slacum, somebody who is kind of in that former generation under Coach Reed, you get a little bit of that, but you also have your own vision. And I think for Micah Slacum, you know, I mean, she was impressive in her time here, 2022 ODAC first teamer. She has seen success with this program, but it's the idea of, okay, you know, it's not necessarily my mentality or what we did is going to work in the future. And I think it's been a very uplifting attitude for these two coaches because, yes, you know, you see what you can do this year, but you're thinking about the future and you know that it's coming very quickly.
And you hit on something there. It's not an I, me, mine mentality with those great coaches. It's an us. It's a we. And they say that a lot. You know, they say our goalie or our attackers. They don't say my goalie. And it seems like a small thing, but I think if you notice that the great coaches, They know they're just a part of it. Yes, they're the head coach. They have some different responsibilities than, say, the goalie or the backup goalie or the athletic trainer, but they're all just cogs in that wheel that you try to roll in the right direction.
No one person, whether you're on the sideline or on the field, is going to truly take a team and just absolutely add 5, 6, or 7 wins.
Yeah.
So you got to be ready. As Bradley was heading towards the goal, referee intervenes.
A good long run there from Reagan Bradley. She was kind of on an island, I think, by design. Roanoke's defense has probably been a little undersold by us today. They've been very good at times, most of the time, I'd say.
What's interesting, too, about many of the members of this Roanoke defense is that they've started every game, which it is 14 contests. That's not exactly a huge number as the Hornets rifle one through. Reagan Bradley, a little discreet in the approach.
Yeah, on the run, moving away from the goal. She wanted one earlier in the exchange. Gets it back, finishes. Consistency on the defense so important, and you were just talking about that with Roanoke. That's a good one. I mean, that's a fadeaway jumper right there.
That's right.
It's a fadeaway fire is what that is. Good goal there.
NBA playoffs going on. I think it's fitting time. Yeah. Back to the stat. Roanoke has 7 players who have started every game. Lynchburg only has 2. Virginia Heffernan and Megan Wheeler. You know, several of the attackers have maybe missed 1 game. Meredith Bornholt missed just 1 at home this season. And so, yeah, you're understanding, you know, you've still seen this core for the majority of the games, but those are won every now and then. Think about getting everybody in the picture now. You've got to be feeling consistent and feeling confident in that bunch.
That's when I know that we had mentioned Lynchburg's injury situation in previous broadcasts. Hey, look at the last 2 years for Coach Rafferty. She really hasn't had the full complement of players at all. And I know maybe in college sports at a high level, speaking of injuries, we did have a Lynchburg player down, but maybe you can't ever expect to have everybody 100% healthy. But I think you look at Lynchburg injury-wise, they've really had some tough hands dealt to them the past 2 seasons. So that's another one where if you're Coach Rafferty, that's one of your messages saying, hey, as we continue to get healthy and we stay healthy for an entire season, this could be a fully operational battle station down here.
Very true. And the injuries that we have seen, it hasn't been, just a few weeks and out. It's you're either healthy or you're out for the season. You think about Taylor Doherty last year, somebody who tore her ACL. We've seen Emma Timberg missing time this year, Katie Babinis. And you understand, yes, they're on the sidelines. They're going to give you a lot. Even though they're not playing in the game, you've still got those personalities, but just wait until everybody is in there and having action. You know that this team is talented. Just got to unlock the full potential. Bradley goes over the top to Neely Morris. Had trouble. 2 defenders. Pass files through. Got to play catch up now if you're McKenna Steinow. A lot of options around the horn for the Hornets. Down 8.
Down 8, but still fighting. Getting to that 10-goal mark would be a nice little psychological hurdle for Lynchburg to jump over.
And preventing Roanoke from taking that 10-goal deficit. They hung at 9 momentarily. I think you even think about last year, 15 of the 18 games decided by double figures. It's a little mental note just to know, yes, we're inching forward year after year. A Roanoke team that's really good, and obviously last year truly known for its defense. This year, one of the best in the conference offensively.
That's been so fascinating as well, the way this Roanoke offense has really picked into high gear. And we've seen it. We've seen it firsthand, just their variety of scorers and the variety of goals that they've gotten today.
Many different ways to get there, but the Maroons have truly used every single one. And the great part about this offense, we open the discussion of whether this Roanoke team could go on and win the conference, test WNL. That's a very main ingredient in the conversation, is knowing there's no 1 or 2 things you can do to shut the offense down. They have a lot of different options, and if one isn't working, they can really stay versatile as Sin gets her stick on this one.
Cited it well. There's nobody around there to crowd windshield for Alexis and a good one-on-one defense there to make it a little bit tougher on the shot for Roanoke. So good defense all the way around for Lynchburg. And, yeah, I mean, we talk about styles for both these teams. Only one regular season game left for Lynchburg. So it's hard for a Tiger to change the stripes at this point in the season. I think you got to lean in and do what you're great at. Lynchburg has the identity. You stick with that and you try to play your best lacrosse in the playoffs.
I like that one a lot, but can a Tiger change its stripes? we got to get a visual or
chameleons can, right?
That's
Don't
right.
they change colors? Yeah. So maybe we could say some teams are chameleon-like.
We're expecting that graphic to come out in a few days. The Tiger turning red and gray.
That's going to take some work from the LHSN graphics department there, but we're on it.
I'm sure they have so much time on their hands too. It's not like there's 17 different sports being played this time of the year.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to the Lynchburg equestrian team going for another national title in Ocala, Florida. That cranks up, I think, maybe Friday.
Hornets really on the road this week, and I got to talk with our athletic director, John Waters, ahead of Give Day. You've got equestrian down in Florida. Track and field is taking a trip to California.
I saw that.
The Azusa Pacific University track. They're there for the Brian Clay Invitational, and then I believe beach volleyball is down in Alabama.
That's a national championship down there in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Yeah, Roanoke was hosting Lynchburg in softball today. But, yeah.
All over the place.
Well, and you mentioned our athletic director, John Waters. That's where guys like that, they really earn the money because the logistics of that, pretty incredible to think about.
And it's hard to even keep track of as broadcasters. As Roanoke once again entering the picture, we have seen several step in and score. This time around, the Maroons continue around the carousel. Tracy Benzing, the senior from Severna Park, Maryland.
So Roanoke is getting some different people involved. That was a real patient, probing, kind of methodical possession. Another one where Roanoke got to catch it right in front of the cage, and that's always high percentage when you can do that. She did have to make the adjustment there, but Benzing was able to turn around and fire it home. 17-9, Roanoke on top.
How many goals has Roanoke scored today going the other way? We've seen the momentum taking them, and it's just that over the top. I mean, it's impressive to see those cuts and still be on time with it.
It is. I just think, if you're Roanoke's next opponent, maybe you chop all the goals up and show them to your defense, but maybe you don't. You know what I mean? Because that might hurt your defense's confidence and your goalie's confidence when you say, look, they're going to hit you from all these different angles. They're going to hit you with all these different players. I don't know. That's a coaching option there that I would imagine some coaches do think about. How much tape do I want to show the team? Now, of course, people can go watch it on their own, and we hope some other teams are watching the broadcast right now. But, yeah, I would think long and hard about that as an opposing head coach of how much do I want to show the other team.
And back to the discussion earlier of it's going to look a whole lot different out on the turf than it does from up here. And so, yes, you want to be prepared, but I mean, you expect if you see a whole season of lacrosse, you've probably seen a pretty good sample size of what teams can do. Nobody is going out there and, shooting with like 2 or 3 fingers or using a different type of stick. But you do know that this Roanoke team maybe opens more windows than others. And the question becomes, not only does your defense have to be good, but can they step up when getting torched a few times and respond, as the Hornets have done here in this fourth quarter. Another goal files through. Hossauer on the board, the sophomore.
A sweet one for Hossauer. You said that was how you were taught to remember the name. Good job splitting the double team there. Kept going downhill. Smart goal. Lynchburg still playing hard, as expected. Tip your cap to the Hornets in that arena. Back within 8.
We'll take a quick break here on LHSN and Lacrosse TV, but it's been a Code Red affair, and halfway through the fourth quarter, we'll be right back. See a little bit of a discussion going on within the Roanoke huddle, and see every single person has their eyes on Coach Erica Brown. We talk about a Coach of the Year in the conference. That's what you got to have. I think if you could almost cut something up and show other teams, you're up 8, it's the 4th quarter, you got to have that level of discipline, and the Maroons still committed to it, committed to excellence, then you know this team wants to make a postseason run.
Yeah, that's a passionate, fiery timeout huddle right there. That is as intense as you will see in an 8-goal game. And that tells you a little bit about the standard Coach Brown wants to set, about the things she's looking for. And that doesn't work for everybody, you know. I think every coach is different. You have to be yourself. You can't fake it because the players are going to know. But Coach Brown obviously has that passion. You could see the players respond. You didn't see anybody looking away in that timeout huddle. I mean, that's what Roanoke's got going on right now. And, again, it works differently for other teams, but it's working right now for the Maroons. You got to say that.
You learn almost more about how the players are responding than what the coach is doing, because you see some of these professional sports teams and you got guys on their phone, you got guys over there by the towels and all that good stuff, and to see that,
Why don't you just call me out by name while you're at it?
No, we're not going to name drop.
No,
but
we've been fully focused tonight.
It's really cool though, just to see that. Yes, I mean this team has a level of respect, but it's also for coaches like the two that we have in this fight, Coach Rafferty, 2nd year, Coach Brown, 3rd year. They already have that level of respect and admiration, and I think that's what you want to build before you have success on the field. It's the culture.
And that culture sustains you, and I think I don't see any reason why we won't see these two talented young coaches locking horns in some great games for a long, long time. Now, they may choose to take their talent somewhere else, but it would be so much fun to see Coach Brown and Coach Rafferty, you know, just go at it for a couple decades. Roanoke and Lynchburg, it's already kind of a built-in rivalry that we love. It's a very strong rivalry in some other sports. I think we could have that same thing in women's lacrosse, and I think the fans would really enjoy it.
Well, Kyle, I went home to Blue Ridge earlier. You got all the green along 460 now, the flowers coming back, but you knew it wouldn't be as inviting for this Roanoke team when they stepped on campus, understanding it's a code red affair. You obviously have the stronghold in the standings, but you got to come up and show up. And this team has not only done that, but here in this 4th quarter, like we said, it feels like they're poised to keep going because they know their vision has to extend to the tournament where Coach Brown has won a game the last 2 seasons.
Exactly. They were on a mission tonight, and you could tell from that timeout huddle, the mission is not completely finished yet. I think the mission's going to be successful for Roanoke, but Coach Brown, she wants more. She doesn't want to just get a 9 of 10. She wants this to be a really almost a perfect showing.
Bradley likes to do what Roanoke did on the other side. This time, not going to work out. Think about coaching battles between Lynchburg and Roanoke. So many good ones. I mean, you can go down the list of sports, but, I mean, in the men's lacrosse setting, there might not be a better one. You see Coach Pilot and Coach Kadelka, who have really, like you said, locked horns for a while.
Well, like 2 decades. Well, more than 2 decades
That's
now.
right.
Right? Yeah.
Got Coach Nunley and Coach Hillary Scott on the hardwood. I mean, you can go down that list, but it's longevity. And as you said, I think if you don't have the pieces behind it, you don't have the respect of your players, you don't see coaches in their 20-plus years sticking around and continuing to find excellence.
Yeah, you can't be a museum piece where it's like, oh, I've been here all these years, so just do what I want. You have to continue to earn the trust and respect of the players. You have to stay fresh. You have to stay current. Yeah, you're bringing in new players every year. That helps. But people change, and I think coaches need to change as well. Don't change your principles and the things that you believe in, your foundations, but yeah, I think the best coaches do change a bit as the years go by, maybe every single season.
I mean, that's why you keep some of those former players around, too, in your GAs. You see with Micah Slacum, I mean, coming into the system, and we would have to get into her head, but you're not exactly sure if you're thinking about staying or you're trying to branch out and expand the network as the Maroons pop the net again. This time, courtesy of Zoe Blair, brings her tally to a hat trick.
Good one for Zoe Blair. We saw her score early in the game, kind of quiet since then, but back to Roanoke's got a plethora of options, a bevy of options for Roanoke. Good one there. Just fired over the shoulder again as you're moving sort of east to west, laterally across the field. Good velocity on that one. Good placement again.
A lot of pop in some of these shots from the Maroons. We mentioned we hadn't seen a lot from downtown throughout the season. Roanoke is employing that approach. Back to a 9-goal game, 19-10. We've talked about so many different sports, and I feel like we probably should have given you this opportunity earlier, but Lynchburg gets a win over CNU down at Fox Field, able to complete, I believe, the season series, right, against them?
Yeah, Lynchburg with a big win today. Offense really came alive. Couple highlights, but one of our all-time favorites, Bryce Demery, a grand slam. That was just a no-doubter. So we're calling him No Doubt Demery now, and also the Bryce is right.
Oh, my goodness.
And, you know, Bryce is watching the game right now. He told me, yeah, I'm going up to Code Red as well. So that's the kind of guy he is, wants to root on the women's lacrosse team after a big grand slam. Connor Moore also homered. Brandon Garcia, 3-hit day. All systems go for the Lynchburg baseball team. 4th-ranked team in the country. They're now 29-5.
Wow, that's hard to do in baseball.
It is.
It's very easy to slip up in 1 or 2 games. I mean, you're talking about nicknames already, too. It's like when Paige Beckers was drafted to the Dallas Wings. You see the commercial come out 20 seconds later. You're like, oh, well, they had that one in their pocket. Like it already says, we're turning the page. That's pretty impressive. You had to feel like Bryce Demery was going to show up.
He did, and he showed off and showed out big time. Senior day on Saturday for Lynchburg as well. And it's a bittersweet time, too, because we're, final home game for women's lacrosse. A chance to host a tournament game, but nothing guaranteed. And same way for so many of our other sports. Not a lot of chances to watch these teams in the spring, so you got to make the most of every opportunity.
Or be willing to travel, because several postseasons, I mean, we think about baseball and has a multiple stop map, and you're ready to go for it. It feels like as well, I mean, you mentioned how it's dwindling. There's another nice save from Sen. That category starting to stack up. I mean, this is the conversation we had a few weeks ago where Lynchburg celebrated Senior Day. You're thinking, oh, wow, it's not the last game of the season. You see what Code Red brought today, especially that first quarter energy where Lynchburg came out hot. I feel like you can't argue against that.
No, and if you remember, Lynchburg women's lacrosse had their senior day on that final Saturday game, so a few more of the out-of-town parents and friends could maybe get here. So you do some of that scheduling-wise as well. Oh, and Meredith Bornholt, Cincinnati, Ohio, she said she loves the Skyline chili. She said you got to try the Skyline chili sometime. That's a Cincinnati local legendary kind of thing. Although they have some Skyline chili locations throughout the state of Ohio, maybe even some other states actually.
Oh, wow.
Got to look into it. I know we're really digressing now, but that's digression's the spice of life, I say.
That's right. I mean, if you've been following our entire journey throughout the lacrosse season, you can connect the dots to 2 or 3 broadcasts ago. We were talking about the Skyline. As Roanoke on a display, able to break through to 20. You had to feel like it was a benchmark. High rate of scoring, high velocity, and now a high number on the scoreboard. 30 combined goals.
Yeah, I think the Roanoke fans will probably put up with our sidebarring and our bantering just fine as their team continues to score goals. That makes it a lot easier when you watch the Maroons just pepper the net. You mentioned Alexis Sen had really been racking up a nice save total, but also Roanoke's got 20, so that tells you some of the story. Roanoke is just getting a lot of shots up. It's quantitative and qualitative because they're getting a lot of rubber to Alexis Sen, and a lot of them are going in right now.
That's a great point. We see so many of the stats, and something that has been a point of emphasis is you see Lynchburg's categories in some of these games. They've gotten a lot of high-scoring affairs, but they were out of conference. And what you've seen Roanoke do is obviously come into the ODAC. Just 1 loss so far, and that was against WNL, and still really show their commanding offense. Now, that is not to degrade this Hornets offense that has been really sensational. You look at the 3-headed monster up top, Neely Morris, Sydney Dumas, and obviously McKenna Steinow has had some high-scoring totals. But Roanoke has been tried and tested now, and you understand, yes, they have been through the conference. They've seen everybody. They know what's at stake. And even if that conference championship doesn't go the right way with W&L, you're hoping to go to that NCAA tournament.
I think that's a great goal for Roanoke right now. For Lynchburg, they've got to learn from this. And Coach Rafferty, she's going to have her message pretty carefully crafted in the postgame and tomorrow in saying that, you know, hey, it was a measuring stick. We didn't measure up the way we wanted to. We've got to do X, Y, and Z to change that this year. And then going forward in the offseason, we've got to use games like this. Got to use the Washington and Lee, the CNU game. We got to use games like that as the standard we want to get to. Yeah, we're going to do it in our own way, but we want to not just hang tough in the first quarter of those games. We want to win those games.
It's about perseverance and credit to a Roanoke team that allowed 4 goals to Sydney Dumas in the first quarter, holding her silent in the next 45 minutes. I mean, that shows they've got a lot of power, they've got a lot of strength, but they also have the mindset behind it.
I think that mindset's so key. We saw that in that timeout huddle for Roanoke, so much about the effort, the energy, being in the right place. And, you know, I said maybe there was not a tactical change at the end of quarter one. Maybe there was, because you just said it. Sydney Dumas hasn't scored since. Maybe that was the adjustment. We're going to change our coverages on Dumas. We're going to make sure somebody else beats us, and that's worked out for Roanoke.
It was that 8-1 advantage in the draw circle in the second quarter that propelled Roanoke into the lead, and they didn't look back here in this second half. They have been seamless in their approach as the Hornets take one final stab. That's where Code Red will run to an end. The Roanoke Maroons 20, Lynchburg 10, and an impressive showing nonetheless. But our final home broadcast for the Lynchburg women's lacrosse team, unless they can get an ODAC matchup, it will really depend on those other squads in the conference. But you feel like, wow, I mean, this was a battle. We saw the first quarter tilt Lynchburg's way, but it was certainly a test that the Maroons were ready to answer.
Fun home season. Could be another home game. You and I, between us, I know we've worked some games together, and then we've had some women's lacrosse games solo. It's a fun team for me to watch. Some great personalities. They play hard. It's fun learning about them and seeing how they grow collectively and individually. I'd take some individual or, some more observations and opinions from you individually. I think we're going to see Lynchburg again on the turf here. Don't know quite how the ODAC standings will shake out, but maybe that's me being hopeful, fingers crossed kind of thing. But I hope we get to see one more home game in the first round of that conference tournament for the Lynchburg Hornets. Best of luck to Roanoke the rest of the way, by the way.
Absolutely, and it might come down to that one goal affair earlier in the year. Randolph-Macon was able to take that game. And you know that, yes, even if Lynchburg is on the road in the tournament, they're ready to go. This conference is loaded up top. We've seen it on display tonight. Roanoke really came out and showed up. And, I mean, Kyle, you think about this, you know, that's now win number 43 in 3 seasons for Coach Erica Brown. I mean, this Roanoke team, yes, they're prepared and they're ready, but they have the pieces for the future. I mean, 14 freshmen, you're going to keep seeing them.
I think so. I think you're not ever going to have to go into a rebuilding phase for Roanoke. Maybe a reloading, but they seem to be set and stacked for years to come.
So much fun here on Schellenberger Field. Got to give thanks to our entire crew coming out here for Code Red, and of course, all the students on the other side of the track. It's been a lot of fun, and if this is that final broadcast here at home on Shelley for this lacrosse team, it has been so much fun to bring it to you on LHSN. This broadcast also on Lacrosse TV. A big thanks to our director, Jonathan Faust, and the entire LHSN crew. He is Kyle Haney. I'm Evan Gates, saying so long from the Hill City.